Namaskar. All of us face difficulties in our life. How can spiritual practices help us in these situations? Back in 1984, I was assigned to organize our global conference in the West African country of Ghana. And at that time, there was a famine in the country because there was a shortage of rain, so there's rationing of food. And also there were bad relations with the neighbor, Nigeria, who supplied petrol to the country. So there was a rationing of petrol. And so people were lining up in their cars for 3 days just to get enough petrol to run their vehicles for that week. And on top of this, I got malaria. So I couldn't do anything. And this was 3 weeks before the conference. And so I'm just saying to my inner guru, if you want me to do this work, you're going to have to make me get better. Well, I shortly recovered after the bout of malaria, and with the contacts of our members, we could manage to get enough food for the conference, and we could fill our bus with petrol to bring the members from the hinterland to Accra, the capital city where the conference was taking place, and back again. And it was the first time, 1984, we made a video. So the master was very pleased with our efforts. And it was 1985, and the master had called for a global review of all the Dadas and Didis from different parts of the world. They have to give their report in India. And so I was in Ethiopia at the time. When I applied for the visa, I was refused because our association was under religious persecution at that time. So I had to go to Bangladesh, and the plan was to cross a so-called green border. So I got to the border town, and the plan was, with a colleague of mine, we were going to walk through the border along the railway tracks and enter India. Well, we were stopped by the border police on the way and put in police lockup. Again, we were quite worried. Only thing we could do is surrender and hope that things will work out for us. The next morning, the police inspector came. He was a bit friendly, and he asked, was your mistake a benevolent mistake or a malevolent mistake? And we said, sir, it was a benevolent mistake. And he laughed and we laughed. He let us go. So we did plan B, and that entailed walking through rice fields from Bangladesh to India. And so it was hot in May, and we walked the 3 kilometers or so. We got to the other side, and we boarded the bus on that border town that was going to Kolkata. And when the bus was full after a few hours, it left. But on the way, there are police checks, and they check the ID and the passport of each person. It's usually on a list with the bus driver. But one particular instance, he came inside and he wanted to verify each passport of each person. So we were 3/4 of the way down the bus with a blanket over our bodies, and again, praying that he won't come as far and ask us, because we'll be in big trouble. So again, luckily, 3/4 of the way down, or halfway down the bus, he turned and he left the bus. It proceeded, and we reached to Kolkata. We were late, but the master, hearing our predicament, allowed us to come inside and give our report. It was 1988, and this was in the southern city of South Africa called Port Elizabeth. And I was giving a talk on meditation and yoga. So the local newspaper had put an article and welcomed people to come to the class on meditation, and everybody was welcome, free of charge. But it was the time of apartheid, where the white minority was ruling over the black majority. And unbeknownst to me, 7 Afrikaner, the white farmers, they came to my talk, and they were not happy that I was there. So they started handing out leaflets to everybody, and one of them said, "Jesus saves." They were like very fanatic Christians. Another one said, "Dada Shila Bhadrananda, he's the prophet of the devil." And a third one started to roll up his sleeves, big, strong man. He said, "Hey, Coolie, come outside and let's fight like a man." Again, I'm in big trouble here. I don't know what to do. But fortunately, the other participants, they were on my side. And one of them said, "Hey, how did you get in this building? Didn't you see the sign? No dogs allowed?" So people were in support of me. And one of them called the police. So the police showed up and told those gentlemen, if you don't like what he has to say, you can leave the room, because here in our country, we have freedom of speech. So they left. I could give my talk. But as I was leaving the hall, to go back to my place, they were waiting outside. Again, someone from the lecture saw my problem. She offered me a lift home and I could escape that danger. And it was also in the South Africa, in the town called Durban, which is the border town where it's on the Indian Ocean. So it was morning time. I decided to go for a swim. And my colleague was with me and he was doing his martial art exercises on the shore. But I swam too far. There were no lifeguards. It was early morning. And the ocean currents were taking me further away. I shouted, but he couldn't hear me. Again, I don't know what to do. I just had to surrender. There was no other choice. Shortly after, a big wave from the ocean pushed me towards the shore, such that I could put my feet on the ocean floor and I walked back to safety. It was a very close call. And that time, around that time in South Africa, there was an influx of African people from other countries, neighboring countries, to get jobs. And so the African people, South Africans, were very, very angry. And so there were riots in various parts of the city. We were in our master unit and our farm in the southern part of Johannesburg near Soweto. And although we had security guards, the people were drunk and they were very, very angry and violent. The mob could have entered and given us huge problems. Again, nothing to do but surrender. And luckily, the violence passed that night and we were saved. And the violence died down after that. I was giving a ride, another incident, I was giving a ride to two hitchhikers. I was coming from the place where I was a wellness consultant in a business college. I was coming back to where I was living in the southern part of Johannesburg, in a suburb. And as I was getting off the ramp to come onto the suburb place where I was going to stay, they started to take my shoulder bag, had my passport and my money, my wallet, all of my ID. And I said, help, 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 help. Fortunately, those guys left the car before the police could come to my rescue and find out what's happening. So in this way, I've been saved many, many times. And you know, I have been working in different parts of the world, and every time when things are going well, I got transferred. For example, I was the global coordinator of our ecological wing, prevention of cruelty to animals and plants. But after a short while, after 3-4 years, I was transferred to Africa. And while I was in Africa, things were going well, especially in South Africa, with many programs and retreats, and people were coming and learning meditation and yoga. I was transferred to Taiwan. And then from Taiwan, after 18 months, I got transferred to South Korea. So in English, there's a saying, a rolling stone gathers no moss. I was feeling this way, that when I was just about getting myself established, I got transferred to another place. And now I'm in my home country, Canada, but in Vancouver, there's a housing shortage. I have no place to stay. I have to depend on the goodwill of the members for accommodation. So there's a saying in Sanskrit, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitah. Those that follow Dharma or spirituality or truth, they're protected by Dharma. They're protected by truth. So I think this is the lesson from all of these stories. When we surrender and we follow sincerely the truth, then that truth, that Dharma, that innate nature of the divine to care for all of its creatures kicks in and we are saved. I hope this will help you in remembering whenever you're facing challenges in your life. Thank you. Namaskar. Namaskar. Friends, because of your donations and support, we're able to continue to do recordings on meditation, spirituality, and inspiration. If you'd like to help with a donation, you can find a link in the description of this video. I'd like to thank you very much. Namaskar.